Hello, everyone, and welcome to Just About Work, where we talk about everything that might have an impact on your career. I'm your host, Bev Jones. I'm an executive coach, and my recent book is Find Your Happy at Work. Our focus today is how to stay prepared for and maybe to launch a job search. Our return guest is Mark Anthony Dyson. He's a career consultant and also a popular and very generous producer of information about the job search environment. Mark runs The Voice of Job Seekers, which is a blog and podcast that could help anyone who wants to explore the job market. Today, Mark will talk about 2023 trends in the world of work and why a stellar resume just isn't enough. One thing that I've heard a lot in talking with, say, clients who are trying to hire people. And in fact, one of them said to me recently, "You think we have um, totally managed to find the people with the technical skills, but we don't have a way. We've never worked at hiring people with soft skills. Soft skills are what seem to be in demand in a lot of places, even in tech companies in some roles. And yet people are a little awkward in talking about their soft skills, or maybe they don't even know what's considered a soft skill now. You want to comment a little bit on any trends you've seen on the role that an awareness and descriptor of soft skills can affect a job search?
Sure. I like the term essential skills really instead of
Hmm.
soft skills because those are the things that real people, those are the skills that can be used in across multiple industries. So it's not lending itself to just one industry. You have to have that skill, though there might be the case where it is, but it has many different applications. I think employers who hire for character, we can call it that too, know that they can train skills, but personality, temperament, and certain leadership skills are often the innate skills they can't hire for but desire. Whether in a job interview or LinkedIn update, telling stories where you are the actual storyteller are the protagonists in the sense that you're attacking or you're addressing the problem, not the people who are part of the problem, but the problem as the antagonist can intrigue people to know more about you and your journey. So I think all of that can come across in the storytelling as you give examples of what you've done, what you've accomplished, give the scenario, what the problem was, what the solution is, and how you give yourself toward that, and how it has manifested itself in other places. Maybe it manifests throughout the companies or department, throughout the industry, whatever that is. So I think it's all in how you communicate it. But at the same time, I think employers could do a better job in how they communicate what they want from people instead of relying on 10-year-old, 5-year-old job descriptions they wrote a long time ago, because people can only give you what they understand you want. Now it's up to a job seeker to dig a little bit deep and research some of the people and some of the feel that they get as far as their soft skill acumen. But ultimately, it's up to both parties to say, these are the kind of way I can add value. And the employer kind of communicate, this is the way that we look at value and how we look at you.
So the cues to help somebody decide whether or not they're going to emphasize their essential skills. And I agree with you, that's a better word, but that's not the word sometimes people use to describe what we're talking about.
Of
But
course not.
when when you do that, uh, it can help you even if you're not job searching. I'm thinking that as the it's gotten to be hard to recruit sometimes. A lot of employers are being more flexible, more willing to allow people to change jobs, to do quite different things in the same organization. But if you're feeling like that you want to do something different, maybe you're bored, maybe you feel underemployed, whatever it is, uh, you have to build some credibility about your ability to make the shift. And so that could be when essential skills like collaboration and team building and those things, you might be able to show where you could repurpose those. But I have a question, particularly because I know you wrote about this recently, and I was really taken by your writing. Sometimes people do want to do something different. Maybe they like where they are or they like the field, but they're feeling underemployed. And you wrote, I thought, very empathetically about the problem of unemployment. If you were talking with a friend who said they were really underemployed, what would you suggest they do? How do they get started with dealing with underemployment?
I think one of the things is when people are at different places with underemployment. I will say that these days people can leverage underemployment if they're willing to take a job that doesn't require a lot of their mental energy and be able to focus in on their next steps. That's one way of underemployment. I don't think that's necessarily the same as somebody who's had their head down for a year or two and the industry, their job, perhaps a lot of times the industry and the skills that are related to that has passed them by, that they're on to something else. And that's why it's so important to do career development, to do it constantly to help future proof your career and making sure that you always be in touch with it. But I think one thing that once upon a time, PayScale had the study, they believe 46% of the respondents believe that they were underemployed. I think that might be a little bit lower today or might be a little bit different. But one of those respondents, 76% said they felt underemployed because they weren't using their education or their training. And there we can get into some other layered discussion regarding underemployment. We talk about how formal education versus getting certificates or getting other additional training. All that to say that underemployment is something that people will have to decide to get up and do proactively. Otherwise, you do fall behind. Or if you're just trying to keep up, you're going to fall behind because things change so drastically and so quickly. So I think managing that with your life and your skills, the better way to manage it is to plan on investing your own money into getting the current skills and remaining ahead of the curve. One thing that people have relied on in the past is their job to keep them up to abreast in their industry. And that's not necessarily the case because they don't want to spend the money. And in fact, a lot of times layoffs are a good sign that nobody won't be doing some training for a little while to get past those dark clouds and the stormy weather, the snowstorms of their industry and their career. So I think people have to take charge in that kind of way so they can also control the narrative in their career as we talk about how we need to post content and or the value we bring to online conversations and offline conversations is you want to show that you're relevant. And that's a problem when people feel that you don't, because then you don't get the word about you doesn't get passed on in a very natural and organic way.
A good starting point, as you said, is to take a course or do some development work or learn something new in some way. If you're feeling underemployed, it probably is a suggestion that you're not stretching yourself. You're not excited about things.